Have you ever started a new eating or exercise plan and found yourself suddenly sabotaged by a weekend getaway or a birthday party celebration? You may have had every intention of following through by writing out the perfect SMART goal and creating detailed action steps. And yet, you still find yourself facing every edible temptation or wrecked schedule that wreaks havoc on your best laid plans. If this sounds familiar, then stay tuned as we unveil the difference between self-control and self-discipline, why it matters, and how to implement it. Hey there, beautiful dreamer. I've been wondering, have you ever found yourself with a super moist slice of chocolate cake in your hand when you're supposed to be on a health kick? Or you promised yourself to start waking up earlier, only to hit snooze 4 or 5 times the next morning? Or maybe it's just me. If it's not just me, and you've also found yourself in these predicaments, then you've also navigated through the intricate dance of both self-control and self-discipline. But you may have also noticed that they aren't quite the same partner. And today, we're going to find out why. Our timeless truth for today is from Daniel Goldstein. It says, "Self-discipline is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets." Earlier this year, I was contemplating what it would look like to roll into Easter with a defined plan. If you've ever implemented the Lenten season in your life, then you know what I'm talking about. But if not, let me give you a short rundown. Lent is primarily celebrated by Christians, specifically those within the Catholic, Orthodox, and some Protestant denominations. The tradition commemorates Jesus' 40 days of fasting in the wilderness and serves as a period of spiritual preparation for Easter. The observance of Lent varies among different Christian groups, but commonly involves prayer, fasting, and acts of charity. However, the focus is most often on fasting. For example, many people choose to fast meat on Fridays during Lent. That's why you'll notice several eating establishments offering a fish or seafood dish on Fridays during Lent. Now, other people may fast sugar, sweets, etc. until Easter. Some choose to fast all food for a meal, lunch for example, fast for an entire day, or even several days leading up until Easter. So this is what got me thinking about self-control, because my sugar cravings are usually so out of control that it's actually a joke amongst my friends. So you may be wondering, like me, if this is a matter of lacking self-control or self-discipline, or maybe both. So let's find out what exactly we're talking about. Self-control is your internal ability to resist short-term temptations in favor of accomplishing your long-term goals. It is that in-the-moment decision to walk away from a distraction or an indulgence. Think of it as your personal bouncer, keeping out impulses that don't serve your bigger goal. Now, self-discipline, on the other hand, it's your ability to stick to consistent actions and habits over periods of time, regardless of your mood or any temptation that comes along the way. It's the inner coach that pushes you to get up for that 6 a.m. run, even when your bed feels like the most comfortable place on earth. So, here are some key differences at a glance, and I am including this helpful chart for you. So, let's compare the different aspects of self-control and self-discipline. The timing. For self-control, it's an at-the-moment reaction, whereas for self-discipline, it's a long-term commitment. Self-control is resisting impulses, and self-discipline is maintaining a habit. The emotion for self-control is usually reactive, but it's proactive for self-discipline. Focus looks like saying no to things when you have self-control, but saying yes repeatedly to the right habits with self-discipline. For example, saying no to not eating that extra cookie, or consistently saying yes by following a meal plan every day. You can use this handy chart to plug in whatever attribute or goal that you're trying to implement. And if you need help working through this, just send me a message and let me know, because I'd love to walk through this with you. In fact, there are several Bible verses that emphasize the importance of self-control, highlighting it as a fruit of the Spirit and a key element of a disciplined Christian life. So here are some specific verses and their significance. One of the first verses that we usually think of is probably Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23, which lists self-control as part of the fruit of the Spirit, alongside other virtues. This verse is a foundational text for understanding control as a key aspect of Christian living. It identifies self-control as one of the 9 fruit of the Spirit. It says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law." Who knows? We may discuss the other 8 at another time. Now, Proverbs 25, verse 28 uses a powerful analogy to illustrate the importance of self-control. It describes a person lacking self-control as a city with broken walls, leaving them vulnerable to attack and invasion. Like a city that is broken down and without walls, leaving it unprotected, is a man who has no self-control over his spirit, and he sets himself up for trouble. Ouch, that Proverbs 25:28 hurts. Additionally, in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, it says that God gives us the gift of the spirit of power, love, and self-discipline, not fear or timidity. That's one of my favorite verses. So which of these scriptures do you need to write out and post on your refrigerator or desk to keep close at hand for encouragement today? Now we're going to talk about why the difference between these two matters. Understanding this distinction can help you target your personal growth as well as what may be sabotaging it more effectively. So, are you struggling to stop scrolling social media late at night? That's a self-control issue. Are you inconsistent with your workout routine? That's likely a self-discipline problem. When you know which skill you're working on, you can apply the right tools. So, fighting a momentary temptation or urge? Practice mindfulness or use a substitute delay tactic. Are you trying to build a lifestyle habit? Lean into routines, planning, and my favorite, accountability. So, here's how to strengthen yourself in each of these scenarios. First of all, boosting self-control. You should pause before acting or reacting, like we said earlier. Count to 10, take a deep breath, and if possible, change your situation or scenario. For example, if possible, leave that dessert table and opt for a conversation with someone instead. I recently opted to skip a free breakfast buffet where they were making waffles covered with Nutella, to sit outside and journal early in the mornings. Secondly, avoid triggers. If you, like me, can't resist that chocolate or chips, then don't keep them in the house. I've recognized that getting snacky for something crunchy late in the evening is one of my habits. And when I tried to avoid having anything at all, I felt more deprived. So I went for a substitution and opted for pre-portioned healthy almonds to snack on instead. Also, you can use mental tricks. Visualize the consequences. A great visualization to practice is if you are currently continue on the path you're going down right now, what will your life look like in 5 years? For example, if you're eating ice cream and cookies every night, in 5 years, you'll probably have gained an extra 20 pounds. These examples can be applied to any area you need self-control in. For example, if you're trying to stay off of social media, keep your phone on a table or a cabinet that you actually have to get up and walk to check, instead of right next to you where you will grab it several times out of habit. It's really up to you to determine, is this really the direction that you would like to go in as far as your goals are concerned? And that leads us to another great motivation. Revisit your long-term goals. Break out your planner where you've written out your SMART goals, or if it's easily accessible, revisit your vision board. I know several women who have actually taken photos, or better yet, created a digital vision board so they can keep it on hand with them wherever they go on their cell phone. What a great opportunity when you encounter that temptation to glance at your long-term goals and rekindle your motivation. Okay, now let's talk about building self-discipline. First of all, create systems. Schedule your tasks and stick to them. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my daily planner. Unfortunately, if it's not in the planner, it usually doesn't get accomplished. That's what you call building a habit. Which reminds me, you can also use habit trackers. Seeing your streak grow is so motivating. I actually have a free printable habit tracker, so DM me if you would like me to send you one of those. Also, remember to start small. Build wins with tiny habits before scaling up to bigger ones. The motivation that you get from actually accomplishing a small win will encourage you to step out on even bigger ones. Not only that, as you begin to develop an internal knowing of what works for you and what doesn't, then it will help you to create different goals, because it's better to fail on something small and learn from your mistakes to grow more effective habit and goal building. Now for some final thoughts. In this dance of personal growth, self-control, and self-discipline, both of these have their very own beautiful strategic steps. Self-control helps you to avoid the wrong moves. Self-discipline keeps you in rhythm for the long haul. And when you master both, you'll be well on your way to being the best version of yourself, not to mention crushing those goals. So, here's your challenge. This week, beautiful dreamer, identify one situation where you need more self-control, and one habit where you could apply more self-discipline. Then, take one small step in each direction. Remember our timeless truth for today. Self-discipline is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. In fact, I'm actually implementing some intermittent fasting. It may sound like a popular trend to you, but it's also a great practice in self-control, which will lead me into self-discipline. I believe in you and the fact that you can intentionally implement self-control and self-discipline. But now it's time for you to believe in yourself as well. You've got this. Let me know in the comments below what you plan to apply this week. Remember, we want to rebuild those broken walls and live the life that we were always created to live. I know you can do this, beautiful dreamer. It's time for you to believe that happily ever after isn't a lie.